Hello everyone. Let's review shlokas 114 and 115 in Lalita Sahasranamam. Tāmbūla pūrita mukhī dāḍimī kusumaprabhā mṛgākśhī mohinī mukhyā mṛḍānī mitrarūpiṇī nityatṛptā bhaktanidhir niyantrī nikhileśvarī maitryādi vāsanālabhyā mahāpraḻaya sākśhiṇī. Let's take a look at the meaning of the namas. Tāmbūla pūrita mukhī. Tāmbūlam means betel nuts with that slake line, we call it sunnāmbu, and then with some betel leaves. When they mix all that together, it's called as tāmbūlam. So that is something that Lalita always eats, and we've seen in the previous namas also. Karpura Vitika Amoda Samakarshad Digantara. So that Karpura Viti, so there is the Tāmbūlam, and with the fragrance of that she attracts the entire universe, or that fragrance expands everywhere. So Tāmbūlam is the betel leaves along with all the things that we mentioned, and Pūrita means full. Mukhī, mukham here means mouth. So her mouth is full of the Tāmbūla leaves. So when all that is mixed, it has a red color. So this is also a reference to the Lalita's red color, and Tāmbūla pūrita mukhī, and it is always considered, Tāmbūlam is one of the things that are considered to be Mangala. They are one of the auspicious things, and this is why if somebody comes to our house, we give them Tāmbūlam. So it is an auspicious thing, and Sumangali ladies always have Tāmbūlam. So Tāmbūla pūrita mukhī, so it refers to her red color. It is also signifies her ever auspiciousness. And the Tāmbūlam from Devi's mouth, that is supposed to give knowledge also. So there was once a person who was working in the Srirangam temple. His name is Varadan. And this Varadan, he was a cook there, and he used to work there. And he actually became very fond of a woman who was a dancer in a Shiva temple. And her name is Mohanangi. So Varadan used to go and always wait in the Shiva temple for Mohana to come. One day like that, he went and waited. It became a long time and Mohana wasn't coming back. And Varadan was a bit tired and he slept. At that time, there was another person who was praying to Devi so that he can get knowledge. So he was constantly praying. And at that time, Lalita decided that she was going to bless him. And so she came in the form of a very young girl and she came close to him. And she had this mouthful of betel leaves. And when she came close to him, the person who was praying got disturbed. And he opened his eyes and he saw this little girl and he thought, this one is the one who's disturbing my prayer. And he said, go away, and he pushed her away. And then when he pushed her away, he didn't realize this was the goddess who came to grant him what he was asking for so long. And he pushed her away and she left that place and she saw Varadan sleeping there. And she woke him up and she asked him to open his mouth. And then he was sleeping, so he didn't know. He just looked up. This girl asked him to open his mouth. He just opened his mouth without questioning. And she spit the Tāmbūlam from her mouth into his. And it said that it instantly gave him the knowledge. And therefore, he was able to, without any preparation or anything like that, instantly he was able to make lots of poems, and that became the way. The knowledge was so great that if you ask him on a topic, just like that, impromptu, he can just go ahead and produce any number of shlokas or poems. And he came to be known as Kalamega Pulavar. Kalamegam means Kalamegam. Kalamegam means it's a rain cloud. It is full of rain. It's about to pour. So like that, he is so full of knowledge, he is so full of words that the moment you ask him, it will pour down. So he is called as Kalamega Pulavar, and he has written lots of poems, and he is a very popular poet actually. And if you look at it, he has done a lot of poems that actually they're called as Silede. The Silede is pun intended. So you can read the same poem And then you can interpret it in two different ways. So that is the knowledge of Kalamegapulavar. And then he also has some poems where without you, if you just look at it, it will just look like letters and syllables or sounds, but he is able to put them into a meaning, a coherent poem as well. So tāmbūla pūrita mukhī is one whose mouth is full of betel leaves. dāḍimī kusumaprabhā. dāḍimī is a pomegranate. Kusuma means flower. Prabha means her splendor is like that of a pomegranate flower. So we all know with pomegranate it is a red color flower. So again a reference to her red color. And pomegranate flowers are considered to be extremely special for Lalita's Archana. So it is said that the pomegranate flower, there are two kinds of flowers. There are pomegranate trees that can flower, and then that flower will become a fruit. And mostly if you see every flower, for most of the trees, flowers will become fruits. For pomegranate, there is male flower and female flower. So the female flower will become fruit, but there are also pomegranate flowers that will only flower. It will not become a fruit. And those are the ones that are very special for Lalita's Archana. So dāḍimī kusumaprabhā, so it is that type of flower. So what does that mean? If you see, what becomes if you look at the flower becoming a fruit, and the fruit again will be seed, and from there it'll be, that is a cycle of birth and death. So that is something that she decides who continues with the cycle of birth and death, and then who immediately reaches. That is something that Lalita decides. So the dāḍimī kusumaprabhā is also signifying that she is the one who decides who goes, who continues with the cycle of birth and death. And then if you look at dāḍimī kusumaprabhā, even if you think that it's the female flower, when the flower becomes a fruit, you can see that the fruit will look like a the whole thing. You can see everything is neatly arranged in that. Within that, all these seeds are neatly arranged, and that pomegranate fruit is considered to be like the universe, right? So when you break it open, everything is contained, neatly arranged. There could be so many things about it like that. She is the one who gives rise to this universe, and everything in this universe is contained within her. So that dāḍimī kusumaprabhā references that she is like the pomegranate flower. mṛgākśhī, mṛgākśhī. Mṛga means deer, akshi means eyes. One who has eyes like the deer. So if you look at deer's eyes, or doe's eyes, the female aspect of it. So first of all, doe's eyes is very innocent. So it's always constantly moving. So doe eyes is considered innocent. But the other thing also, if you see, the does are always watching out. If you see the parvai, in Tamil they say marunda parvai, means a little bit of concern and fear that is combined in that look, because they're constantly scanning the whole scene for where they could have a threat, and then the moment they have a threat, they will immediately run away. That is the nature of deers. So like that, she is always constantly scanning for which of her devotees are needing her help, whatever impact they may have, and then she is constantly trying to help them. So that's why she is mṛgākśhī, because her eyes are constantly scanning for who is under distress and is always trying to come for our aid. Mohinī. Mohinī means one who is enchanting. It's like she can completely capture her attention, and so therefore she is Mohinī. And for someone who is in the path of sadhana, the more and more they continue to pray towards Lalita, she is capable of completely occupying their thoughts and therefore leading in the right path. So we also saw Mohinī was an avatar, and we spoke about it in the previous video. Mukhyā. Mukhyā means someone who is important, or you can say mukhyā is a principle, the one who came first. mṛḍānī. Mṛda in Sanskrit means to delight, to make someone happy. And Shiva is called as Mṛda because Shiva is everything auspicious. If you look at Shiva, he is the most generous god. You pray to Shiva and he is pleased, he'll give you everything. If you go read Rudram Chamakam, Rudram is about pleasing Shiva. And in the Chamakam, There is a long list of things, and you can keep asking. It's some 347 things, but then he will give everything. So Shiva does not hold back at all. When he is pleased, he gives everything. So it is his nature to make other people happy. That's why he is Shiva. And that nature of Shiva comes from Lalita, because Shiva does not have any attribute. Every attribute of Shiva belongs to Shakti, and therefore she is mṛḍānī. And so she is the attribute of making someone happy. And we know Lalita is always looking to give things to her devotees so that they can have worldly enjoyment. So she is mṛḍānī. The other way to look at it is she is wife of Shiva. Shiva is Mrida, and therefore she is mṛḍānī. mitrarūpiṇī. Mitra in Sanskrit means friend. Rūpiṇī means form. She is in the form of a friend. Of course, we can see in all of this, right? Someone who's constantly concerned for us, someone who comes to take over our mind and help us achieve the calmness and not be stressed, and someone who's always looking to make us happy, clearly is a friend. And that's why we call her Soumya. Soumya is someone who's approachable, who looks friendly. So in that, she is mitrarūpiṇī. She is in the form of a friend. And there are many ways to look at God, right? Bhakti you can have in many ways. We can look at God as our mother. We can look at God as our father. We can look at God as our guru. One of also the bhavam is to look at God as a friend. So she is mitrarūpiṇī. And other thing, Mitra is also the sun. So she is in the form of sun. And if you see with sun is so punctual without asking. Sun is the life force, right? Just because earth is at a certain correct distance from the sun, we are able to have life in earth, right? And the water is possible, etc. And without sun, there will be no life on earth. And so with sun, if you see, whether we ask or not, diligently every single day the sun will rise and provide the light and heat for everybody. And if you see, for human beings, we are so dependent on sun, right? That's why on cloudy days, rainy days, when you can't see the sun, we feel a little bit depressed. So it is very important. Sun is essential for our well-being. So she is in the form of sun. Nityatṛptā. Nityam means ever. Trupta. Trupti means satisfied. She is someone who is always satisfied. So in this nama, she is also telling us how to be also always satisfied. So the someone who comes out of, she has everything. It's a satisfaction coming out of fullness. It is a satisfaction because there are no expectations, and therefore she is nityatṛptā. And if you look at it, any time we are showing love towards someone without any expectation, even if it is God, if you're praying to God without any expectation, then just for the sake of praying to God, then that person will always be happy. So unconditional love always brings that satisfaction, and she is someone who is extremely satisfied by our unconditional love. So she is nityatṛptā. So I don't want any more. This is enough. Thank you for everything that I am having today. So that is the nityatṛptā. And if you can see, she is someone who is complete. She is not lacking for anything, and therefore she will always be satisfied. And for human beings, we are capable of cultivating that mindset that we are not lacking for anything, that we don't want anymore, and that leads to satisfaction. Bhaktanidhir. Bhakta means devotees. Nidhir means treasure. So she is the treasure for all the devotees. Obtaining her is like an immense blessing. And so she is the treasure for all her devotees. And also she is someone who keeps giving all the time. So she gives lot of things for her devotees. So she is the treasure house. So whatever you want, you will get from her. So in that, she is the treasure for the devotees. Niyantrī. Niyantrī means someone who is guiding. She guides you on the right path. Nikhileśvarī. Nikhileśvarī means she is someone who is the ruler of everything. Without exception, everything. She rules over everything. So nikhileśvarī. Maitryādi vāsanālabhyā. So Maitra, again we all just saw Mitra and Maitra are saying. Maitra means friendliness. Adi means beginning with. Mitrādi, vasana. Vasana means certain characteristics. So, labhya. Labhya means obtainable. So, she's someone who's obtained through cultivating characteristics like friendliness and more. Adi can be etc. here. So, what are those characteristics that you can cultivate so that we can obtain Lalita? So, for this, we have to look at Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he says, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshanam, Sukha, Dukkha, Punya, Apunya Vishayanam, Bhavanataha, Chitta Prasadanam. So, he says that by cultivating attitudes of friendliness towards the happy, compassion for the unhappy, delight in the virtuous, and disregard toward the wicked, the mind will retain its undisturbed calmness. So, what he is saying is the way to be stress-free is to cultivate these attitudes. So, let's look at this a little bit more. So, if you look at human beings, our mind is very important, right? Anything, whether we feel stress or we feel happy, everything is because of our mind. And mind is not without its vices. So, the big thing that we all have to do is somehow keep our mind calm. When our mind is calm, undisturbed, everything looks good, right? So, the whole idea, if you see entire Sanatana Dharma, is all about being happy by ensuring that your mind is under control. And when we say mind is under control, it doesn't mean that you lock down everything. It means that we are able to channel our mind in the right path, because our mind has only two modes of programming. All that it knows is enhance pleasure, reduce pain. That's all. It is always looking out for us. So, in trying to look out for us, our mind can get into certain vices, and as long as we keep our mind calm, then we can always remain happy. So then, what are those situations where the mind could get into a situation where it's causing stress for us? So Patanjali calls this as 4 locks. So these are the places where our mind could start behaving out of control. So then he also gives us 4 keys through which we can actually open that lock and get out of that situation. So what are those 4 situations? The first one is Sukha. So when we see a happy person, right? So when we see a happy person, what Patanjali says is, and it doesn't matter how the other person is behaving, no matter what that other person is doing, if we follow this, we'll always be able to remain calm. So you can see this whole idea is about not what is happening, it is about your reaction to what is happening and how can you control that. That's what Patanjali is trying to teach us. So when you see a happy person, he says Sukha, when you see somebody who's happy, so everything good is happening for them and they're so happy, he says use friendliness as the key, maitra. So use the friendliness as the key. That means when that person is happy, say something great happened for them and they are very happy, then in that case it is normal, and even for it can happen to you or me, even though we are all very mature people and all that, sometimes somebody else's happiness can trigger jealousy. And sometimes if we don't have that under control, it is possible for people to say something that may reduce the other person's happiness. So these are all possible situations. So instead of being jealous and trying to take away their joy through a bitter attitude or a negative comment or anything, if we adopt friendliness towards that person, then we will also be able to take part in their joy, and therefore we'll be able to feel happy for them. So when our friend is happy, we automatically feel happy. So whether we know that person or not, if we see a happy person, we should use friendliness as the key. The next situation that we could come across is we see someone who's unhappy, who's very upset, something is not going well for them, they're very sad and they're thinking, why did this happen to me and all that. So in all of those things, it is possible 2 things, if that person, and again this could happen to anybody. So sometimes when we see someone very sad, maybe we just don't want to do anything, want to walk away from there so that we don't get upset. That is one possible reaction. And depending on that person, if that was not someone who was very nice to us earlier, or we didn't like them a lot, then it is also possible to think that, you deserve this, taking pleasure in seeing them suffer. That is also a possible human reaction. But when we see someone who is suffering like that, what Patanjali says is, in those cases, use karuna. Karuna means compassion. So when we are using compassion as the key in that, then we'll be moved to offer them comfort, do something if possible. Of course, if the person says, I need space and, leave me alone, then we should let them know that we are there for them, and therefore will, whenever they are ready, they can talk to us. But compassion allows us to not take pleasure in other people's suffering, and also move us towards doing something that gets them out of that situation. And that's a harmonious way to live. Imagine a community where everybody is compassionate towards each other. They are able to understand what the other person is going through. Such will be an amazing community. That will be heaven on the earth. So he is saying, when you see unhappy people, use compassion as the key. And then the other scenario we can come to is, we saw sukha, dukkha, punya. So you see someone who's virtuous. Who's virtuous? Someone, let's say, is so much better than us, right? We are capable of certain things. Each one of us have our own unique abilities, but we come across someone who's so much better than us. That is a person we would aspire to be, right? And if we had all of those, we'll feel so good about ourselves. So when we see virtuous person, and when we see a virtuous person, he is asking us to use the key called mudita. Mudita means to be delighted, to be so appreciative of what they are doing, right? But generally, what happens when we see someone who's much better than us? Different people are different kind. Some people, if they don't have any ego towards them, they'll feel like, oh, you're great, and that's what happens. That is the delight. Oh, you're great, I would aspire to be like this, and how nice qualities, you can be appreciative of it. But then some other people will also think, God, what big deal, this person is able to do this and this only because of this. Imagine a situation where a colleague gets a promotion. We've also been wanting the same promotion. At that time, we won't say, oh, the colleague worked really hard and that's why they got it. At that time, we'll say, no, the manager was like that, or whatever it is, right? So when we see someone who is in a better position than us, who's getting something better than us, then sometimes people can become very cynical, right? And probably bring down that. But observing noble qualities in other people, accepting other people's noble qualities, is actually a virtue of the heart. And that we can do by using this key called mudita. And then the last one, apunya. Apunya is not so virtuous. So who is someone who's not so virtuous? We can directly say someone who is wicked, who has values that we cannot even stand, whose values are completely opposite to what we do, right? And naturally, what will happen? See, so far, you see someone who's happy, taking part in their happiness is something all of us can do. When you see someone who's unhappy, this is natural. Human tendency is to be compassionate. So it is natural for us to, unless and until, there is some serious problem with that person or so, most of the people will be compassionate. And then when we see someone who is better, our life is conditioned. We can accept that and we can say that person does this well and therefore I appreciate them for that, is also something that's possible. But this fourth thing, where you see someone who's wicked, someone who is completely opposite to your values, does things that you cannot even stand, behaves in a way that you simply cannot accept at all, right? Does not have any honor, sometimes does not have any consciousness, does things like that, to the extent that it can create such an intense reaction. That is something most people, even now, if you see, we are not able to suppress our anger in that thing, our reaction in that. He says, for all of those, you follow the key called upeksha. Upeksha can be read as two ways. Upeksha could be, one, you completely disregard. Other, you treat them with equanimity. And the second thing is very hard, right? So the way to deal with someone like that, so someone who is very wicked, is to have no expectations of them. Only if you say that this person should behave like that, then when they behave in the opposite way, we'll get mad. So that is one thing, where disregard doesn't mean to turn back on their actions and don't even acknowledge them and don't treat them as a person. That's why equanimity is also equally important, to be able to um, not take their actions so seriously, to not have this kind of expectation on them. So that is one thing, that is something that we can use. And the other one is to develop equanimity, because this is natural for human beings. The moment we see someone is different from us, we put them in a different box, right? But they are also people like us. They are also driven by something. It is possible some fear is making them act in that way. It is possible some bad experiences making them act that way. So trying to understand and understanding why they are doing this, and not forgetting at any point that they are also human beings like us. So that is something that we can use. So these are the four locks and four keys. So it is, the four locks are the sukha, dukkha, punya, apunya, those kind of people when we meet. And the keys that we can use in order to get out of it is maitri, karuna, mudita, upeksha. So here, mitrādi vāsanālabhyā. So what it is referring to is saying, for using qualities like, or developing qualities like mitrādi, when you expand that, it translates to maitri, karuna, mudita and upeksha. So when we have qualities like that, then labhya, she is attainable. So what this means is, there are so many procedures and rituals. If you look at all of the Sanatana Dharma, the rituals, all the puja, everything that they are saying is simply to bring the one-minded focus or attention. Because human beings as it is will not be ready to, unless and until we go through certain things, will not be able to receive it. So all this Veda, and even that's why if you see all the Vedas tell you, they train your mind so that it is receptive, because mind is monkey mind. It will keep jumping from one thought to another. If we sit for puja, only then we will think, who's calling, why is the phone bell ringing, the water is running there. All of this we'll remember only when we sit for the puja, because that one-minded attention, the single-minded attention is very hard. So all these rituals, everything are making our mind fertile enough to receive the wisdom. That is the thing. And then if you see, there is a Veda Anta. So that is at the end of Veda. And the Vedanta, Upanishads are all telling. And that tells you the way to live your life. So once the mind is fertile enough to receive it, then it will work. So like that, all these rituals, whatever we do, it is okay. We can tell any number of slokas, we can chant everything, we can know all the slokas that it is possible to learn. But unless and until we have compassion, we are treating another person the same as us, and we are kind towards everybody, our heart is full of love, Lalita is not attainable. So this is why she is antarmukha samaradhya. Only when you go inside, see who you are and raise your awareness and treat everybody like yourself, she is attainable. So mitrādi vāsanālabhyā, she is attainable through all of this. On the other hand, even if we don't know any rituals, we don't know any shloka, we don't understand any meaning, but if we have maitri, karuna and mudita and upeksha, and we are able to treat other people well, then she is attainable. So mitrādi vāsanālabhyā, through these qualities we can attain Lalita, or we can attain God. And if you think about it, one who has compassion towards other people, one who is moved so much, and compassion does not mean that you feel sorry for that person. Compassion and empathy are two different things. Feeling sorry for someone, everybody can do. But compassion means you feel so much that you're moved to action. You're going to go do something to get them out of that situation. You're going to do something to give them relief from there. And if you see, that's why she is Avyaja Karuna Murti. If you see, that is Lalitambika. When she, Avyaja means without distinction. So she does not differentiate. She doesn't think that day you did this day you did that. But instantly she is full of love. And anybody who has compassion towards another person, who is moved enough to take action so that they can remove their pain, that person is nothing but God themselves. And that's why mitrarūpiṇī vāsanālabhyā, our entire Sanatana Dharma is about seeing that God within us. There is God in each one of us to be able to see that. And who is God? God is one who is always kind, who does not differentiate, who does not judge, who is always doing something to help us. And if we can do all that for another person, then that person has become God themselves. So, mitrādi vāsanālabhyā. mahāpraḻaya sākśhiṇī. So, pralayam means the destruction. So, every once in a while, the entire universe becomes nothing. So, at that time, everything is gone. So, mahāpraḻaya sākśhiṇī. Sākshi means witness. She is the witness for the mahāpraḻaya. So, at the time of pralaya, all the worlds collapse, even including swarga, everything, all the worlds collapse and there is nothing. So, pralayam means pralayam. Pra means that ultimate reality. That is just the one thing, that is the pra. And we also call her para because it's beyond everything. Pra. Layam means to be in sync. And even in singing you'll say tālam layam. Layam means being in tune with it. So pralayam means at that time entire world, everything becomes one with that ultimate reality. So that's called as pralayam. And so the God has creation, sustenance and destruction. So mahāpralayam is something that Rudra does and Shiva does. At that time, she is the Sakshi, saying that she is that ultimate reality who's still there even when the entire world becomes nothing. So that also means that she is the ultimate reality. So with that, we have looked at all the namas in these two shlokas. So let's look at a small story related to the nama mitrādi vāsanālabhyā. So once there was a Sishya of Adi Shankaracharya. His name is Padmapada. And if you see, he was a very devoted Sishya of Adi Shankara. So when Padmapada became a Sishya, one day, he was washing clothes in the bank of Ganges. He was on one side of the Ganges. And we all know Ganga is such a forceful river and, just flows like anything. So he was washing clothes on the other side. And on the other bank, Adi Shankaracharya was standing with all of his disciples. And those disciples said, we want to learn something. They asked Adi Shankaracharya to teach. And so Adi Shankaracharya saw that Padmapada was on the other end. And he said, Padmapada, come, we are going to start the class now. And Padmapada is so devoted to Adi Shankaracharya. The moment he heard his guru's voice, he didn't think anything. He was washing clothes. He was on the other side of Ganga. He simply started walking towards Adi Shankaracharya. And it said that for every step he took on Ganga, he was walking on water, there was a lotus that came under his feet. And that's why he became known as Padmapada. So, Padmapada decided that he wanted to pray towards Lord Narasimha and he wanted to get the vision of Lord Narasimha. He was extremely devoted to Lord Narasimha. So he decided that he was going to go into a forest and do a severe penance so that he can see Lord Narasimha. So Padmapada went into a forest and he decided that he didn't want to be disturbed. So he went deeper and deeper into the forest and then he found a good place and there was a big tree. And under that tree, he sat down and he decided that he was going to do the penance. And that was very early in the morning. So he went and sat there. And at that time, there was a hunter who was commonly hunting in that place. So every day he will come, he'll hunt some animals, whatever he gets, and that's the way he feeds his family. So that was his norm. And he has been a hunter from a very young age and therefore he's very good. He knows the forest well. So this hunter came to hunt and initially he was trying to hunt, he didn't find anything. So he kept coming inside and he went deeper in the forest and he came to the area where Padmapada was sitting under the tree. And as soon as he saw another man in here, the hunter was really surprised. He's never seen any human beings here. And the problem was that Padmapada was sitting in a place where it was frequented by wild animals. And the hunter himself doesn't come very frequently Unless and until he absolutely has to get something that day, he doesn't come here. Even then, he has to exercise a lot of caution. So the hunter was really shocked to see a sadhu sitting there. And he thought, oh my gosh, the sadhu doesn't know what to do, and he's come and sit here. His life is in danger, so I need to tell him. So he went there, he bowed down to him and said, Sadhu, this place is not a good place. It's very dangerous. It's frequented by wild animals. So you shouldn't be sitting here. You please leave this place. So Padmapada opened his eyes and he said, oh, thank you for letting me know, but that's okay. Don't worry about me. You go about your business. But this hunter could not let it go. He was like, oh my gosh, he doesn't understand the seriousness. He thinks like I'm just joking or something. And then he called him again and said, no, I'm telling you, this is not a good place. If you want to do any tapas or anything, come, I'll find another place for you, a little bit safer. I know this forest inside and out, so I will help you. But please don't sit here, because within a few minutes, you will have some animal come. And as it is, the animals are very smart. They will sense, they will smell you. And then now you're wearing all this orange thing and you're sitting right under the tree. So they won't even have to work hard to find you. So this will be, and I can't leave you like this. If I leave you here, for sure you'll be dead. So I don't want to leave you like that. So you please come with me. I'll find another place for you. And then now Padmapada said, no, 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 it's okay. I know what I'm doing. You don't have to worry about me. I'll take care of myself. You leave. But this hunter would not let go, and he kept on telling, you know what, please come, I'll send you, you shouldn't stay here, this is dangerous. So he was continuously saying that. Padmapada is a great saint and he has a lot of patience, but after a certain point, he's really on an important mission. He wants to get the vision of Narasimha, and this one is not even letting him focus, constantly annoying him. So he gets very upset, and at a certain point he's saying, no, no, you don't understand. I've also come in search of an animal. That's why I'm sitting here. So once I get the animal, I'll go. So because he was worshipping towards Narasimha, and as we all know, Narasimha is half lion. So he says, I'm also in search of an animal. So now this hunter thought, he's coming into what animal? You tell me. I know every single animal in this forest. Let me go get the animal for you, and then you can leave, so that way you will be safe. And then Padmapada smiled. Because he was trying to somehow get him to stop, and this guy won't stop. And now he thought, if he says, I'm also looking for an animal, he'll think another hunter and he'll leave, but this guy didn't leave. So he said, tell me which animal. And then Padmapada was smiling, and then he said, you know what, that's not an animal you can easily find. It is a very hard to get animal, so you all cannot reach it. So you leave it to me, I'll take care of it. Thank you for your advice, you have helped me. Now if you will please allow me to continue what I'm doing, I will do. And the hunter was thinking, you know what, I don't think this sadhu really knows what he's doing. He says he has come here to get an animal, and to get any animal, you have to go find, you have to have your weapons ready, you have to hide, hit it. And this one is saying he is sitting here and then closing his eyes. Which animal will come like that? Any animal that comes when you close your eyes and you're praying will be the animal to come to kill you. It is not the animal that has come so that it can give itself to you. So he now doesn't think that this sadhu knows what he's doing, and he's feeling even more sorry for the sadhu. And then he says, right, no, no, you please try me. I know about every animal. I've been hunting from a very small age, and if I may say so myself, I'm an excellent hunter. There is not a single thing that I have not achieved if I set my mind to. So you tell me now. I know about every single animal. I'll know exactly where it is. I will catch that animal and give it to you. You take it and go. So then the Padmapada realized, oh, this is a problem now. I need to tell. And he said, no, there is an animal that is half man and half lion. It has the face of a lion and it has the body of a man. That is the animal that I'm looking for. So then this hunter said, as it is, he didn't think this sadhu knew how to go get the animal, and now he thinks, okay, somebody has tricked the sadhu, poor thing, he has believed all the things somebody has said, and he is coming and sitting here. And he said, Sadhu, please listen to me. There is no animal that has the face of a lion and a body of a man. There is nothing like that. Somebody has given you wrong information and sent you to this forest. My guess is that that person didn't mean well for you. And if you sit here real lion will come and then attack you. So you please leave from here. And by this time, Padmapadar's patience is completely gone, and he says, you know what? I told you can't get it. I told you wouldn't have even known about it. And you only said, I will go get it, and you go. So I gave you the thing, detail. But now you're saying there is no animal like that. If you're not able to get the animal, you please leave. I will take care of it. I'm not asking for your help. You please go and allow me to do what I need to do. Now the hunter is thinking, he thinks that I'm not able to get the animal, and that's why I'm saying that there is no animal like that. And then he asked, are you sure there is an animal like that? There is one with a lion's face and human body. Are you sure there is an animal like that in this forest? And then Padmapadar said, I'm 100% sure. That's why I've come here. No wrong information. Nobody is trying to trick me. There is an animal. It is real. I want to go get that animal. Then the hunter said, okay, if you are so sure there is an animal like that, I'm telling you, if there is an animal like that in this forest, I will go get that for you. And because you think that I'm trying to simply give you words, before sunset, I will come with that animal. If I'm not able to find that animal, I will commit suicide right here. I will hang myself and die. So I will do that, but I will go get you that animal. So now this hunter has decided to go find the animal. Padmapadar was really relaxed. Habba, he's gone now, and at least now I can start my penance towards Narasimha. So he started to do the penance towards Narasimha. And this hunter has this deep drive to go find that, because he's worried that if he leaves this sadhu there, some animal is going to come and kill him, and he's a poor sadhu, he doesn't even have any weapons, he's going to die. So he's constantly thinking, lion face, human body, lion face, human body, lion face, human body. So he's constantly thinking about it, and he has gone all over the place. He has checked every nook and corner, and he really knows this forest very well. He's even gone to the dangerous places, in secluded places. Even then he is not found. And slowly time is passing, and now it's almost going to be sunset. The sun is beginning to go down, and he searched everywhere and he couldn't find. And now he's completely dejected. For about hours together, his only thought was to find that lion face and human body. So he couldn't find. And then he came there, and there was a big banyan tree. And you know, banyan tree has lots of shoots there. And it's almost sundown. And then he realized that he has not found what he came looking for. And he had given his word. If he didn't find that before sunset, then he will hang himself. So he decided, okay, I don't know, I couldn't find this animal, but I was not able to fulfill my promise, so I'm going to hang. And therefore he took one of the shoots, and then on one branch he was trying to put it there so that he could make himself a noose and hang from there. And just as he was about to put the noose up, suddenly he heard a noise. It was as if a lion was roaring, but it was also as if there was a laughter. So then he thought, oh, maybe there is a lion somewhere here. He looked around, but he couldn't find anything. So then he went on and again put the noose, and again he heard that. And he realized this time the noise was coming from up. So then he thought, what is this? And so he climbed up the banyan tree, and then he went there. And it was a really large banyan tree, and some of the branches had welded together, and there was lots of these vines that had grown on it. So it was almost like a bed that was in there. And when he went there, he saw that there was a creature lying on it, and it had a lion's face and a human body, and it was laughing. And then he said, aha, I've been looking for you everywhere. I'm an idiot. I should have been looking on top of the trees, because he said it looks like a lion and like a human's body. I've been looking on the ground. I should have been looking on the trees. There you are. And then this creature with the lion's face and human body started laughing. And then he said, what are you laughing about? There is one person who's come to a dangerous forest and sitting there to find you. And I myself am very worried what will come and attack him. I hope nothing happened to him. Now you come immediately. I need to go leave you there so that this sadhu can leave his house, at least leave from the forest and go to his house, at least before it becomes dark. Most of the animals will come out only in the dark. So if I can go to him before sunset, there might be a good chance of saving him. So immediately he took the same shoot in which he was going to make a noose, and then he tied it around the neck of the creature he found, and he made it come down, and he started walking fast. And the creature kept on laughing, and he said, "Don't laugh, just walk fast." And then he almost dragged, and he went there, and he went to the place where he had left Padmapada, and Padmapada was still safe. Nothing had happened to him. He was just praying, no issues. He was sitting there. And then he went there and said, "Look, Sadhu, I found what you asked for. Now I've brought it here. Now you take this and move. Don't stay here anymore. It's almost going to be dark, and then the animals will start coming to attack you." And then Padmapada opened his eyes and said, "Oh, he really came back." And then he opened his eyes, and then he couldn't see anything. He said, "What did you bring to me? I can't see anything." And then the hunter turned around. He realized that the creature was standing behind the hunter. So obviously Padmapada couldn't see. So he said, why are you going and hiding behind me? Come this side, come and stand next to me." And he dragged the creature next to him and made him stand. I said, "Look, it's standing right next to me. And see how it is laughing. From the time I found it, it's been laughing." And then Padmapada looked at it. He realized the hunter was holding a shoot, and the shoot was going up, and there was a circle, but he couldn't see anything else. But it was really strange that the shoot would stand like that. So then he said, "I can't see anything. I only can see that you're holding a shoot." And he said, "What? You can't see anything? What do you mean? It's standing right next to me and it's laughing like anything." And he said, "Stop laughing. Why are you laughing? That sadhu is not able to see you. What are you? Why are you making all this strange gimmicks here? What are you doing to the sadhu?" And then at that instant, Padmapada heard the laughter, and he realized that Narasimha was standing right next to the hunter. And at that instant, the Padmapada couldn't believe it all. He just immediately fell on the feet of Narasimha and said, "What is this Leela that you're doing? This hunter seems to be talking to you as if, he's your friend. He is just colloquially addressing you. He doesn't even know your greatness. He doesn't know anything, but he's able to see you. And I am not able to see you. I've been waiting to have your vision. I've been doing all the pujas, all the penance. I've not been able to have your vision. What mistake did I do? What did I do wrong that this hunter is able to see you? This vision that is amazing, that is an extreme blessing for a person. This hunter is able to have it. How is it that I'm not able to have it? Please show me some mercy." And then he fell on Narasimha's feet and he was crying. He was so shocked that, with all his penance, a simple hunter was able to see it. And at that time, Narasimha told him, "The only reason today you were able to hear me laugh is because this hunter cares so much about you. It was important for him that you are safe, and he was confused that when you couldn't see, and that is the reason I allowed my laughter to be heard. And you did lot of puja. The reason this hunter is able to see me is because you were someone he didn't need to know anything about. He doesn't know you. And when you said, 'Go away, I will take care of myself,' he could have very easily gone. But he had this compassion. He took responsibility for you. He was concerned that something will happen to you. And his concern moved to a certain point that he would go to nook and corner of the forest and find that animal that you were looking for. And when he couldn't do that, he even went to the extent of giving up his life because he gave that word to you. So this is called compassion. He was so moved towards another life, right? And because of that, that is much greater than any ritual or penance or tapas that you can do. And that's why he is able to see me." So Padmapada fell at Narasimha's feet, and he had learnt a greatest lesson. So this is why we say mitrādi vāsanālabhyā, maitri, karuna, mudita, upeksha. The friendliness that we have towards another person, the compassion that moves us into action for another person, our ability to take delight in other people's good well-being and everything, and our ability to treat, regardless of how that person behaves, ability to treat everybody in the same way, equanimity. This is what gets us closer to God. And that's why we say she is mitrādi vāsanālabhyā. So God does not require us to say you are great and do all the puja and 100 things, etc. Those are all good things. They are definitely good. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing puja or anything, but along with that puja, the goodness of our heart is extremely important. So if you see in the UN, MS Subbulakshmi Amma went and sang a song that was composed by our Acharya Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Mahaperiyava of Kanchi, and it is called as Maitrim Bhajata Akila Hrijetrim, and it says Atmatadaiva Paranapi Pashyata. So he says, use friendliness to conquer everybody's heart and look at other people just like yourself, and have self-control and be very compassionate towards other people and be charitable, and that's the way to live. And he says if you live like that, Shreyo Bhuyat Sakala Jananam. So that is the thing, and this was something that MS Amma sang in the UN conference, and she got a standing ovation, and it is written by our Kanchi Periyava. And if you just read those few lines, he has just told us how to live life. So with that, Shreyo Bhuyat Sakala Jananam. Thank you.